Hello, I'm Ari. Welcome back. And today we are going to play the not game show called I Have No Impulse Control and Buy Way Too Much Shit during quarantine. I have not left my house since March, and apparently that drives me to buy like way more books than I ever would buy on a normal year. I have a lot of shit here. It's a lot, so this might be a little bit of a long video. I'm going to break my books down into stacks and we'll go through everything that I bought and I didn't need. The first stack of books that I am going to go through is this stack right here, and these are books that I have already read but didn't own and I wanted physical copies of because I really liked them. First, a book that I ordered in February or March, but I ordered it from the UK and it took a very long time to get here because of the mailing issues with COVID-19 travel, and that is my absolute favorite book of all time, Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. I wanted the UK edition of this cover because it is gorgeous. And yeah, this is my absolute favorite book of all time, and now I've got a really pretty copy of it. Next up, I read The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern earlier this year. This was also part of that order that I ordered in like February, and this is, I don't actually know if this is the UK edition or the US edition, but it was part of that order, and I liked the look of this cover, so I don't know. But I really did enjoy that book. Thought that would definitely be something I wanted to reread, so I wanted to own it, so I got a big floppy. Next up, Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This is one of my favorite books this year. This might be my favorite book that I've read so far this year. I really enjoyed it. And then Harrow the Ninth, which is the sequel to this, comes out later. I have already pre-ordered that. I think it comes out in July, unless they push the date again. But anyway, I really enjoyed this book. Definitely want it on my shelf, so I ordered it. Pretty. And then another book that I read last year that I really enjoyed, and I read it as an audiobook. I really enjoyed it as an audiobook, and I thought, I know it's the first book in a series, and I definitely would want to reread it once it came out in physical, or once the second book came out, and that is Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. This is one of those books that you either like it or you don't, and there's a bunch of like content warning in here, including like rape, child molestation, kidnapping. It's very crude, it's very dark, but I very much enjoyed reading it, so I bought it. And I can reread it before the second book comes out. I don't even know when the second book comes out, but I liked it, so I own it. For the next stack, it's going to be like a quick review of the books I got in book boxes this month. Two of these you've already seen if you watch my other videos, but I'm just gonna show them and then kind of get a feel for the different book boxes that I order. So the first one, back in February or March again, there was a delay on Bookishly's book boxes, and they had an Instagram giveaway where they like randomly picked a subscriber and that subscriber won an ARC, and I was one of the randomly chosen winners. Now, honestly, that is the worst book box I've ever subscribed to. The items in there are absolute cheap garbage that I could find for pennies on AliExpress, and it took them, what, like months to send me an ARC that I won, so I was not really thrilled with that. but the arc is Be Not Far From Me, and this actually sounds like a really fun book to read, so I'm kind of excited to read it. It's about a girl who gets in an argument with her friends while they're camping, wanders off, and like falls down a ravine, and they're camping in the forest or the mountains or something, and her friends think that she just got angry and left, and so they leave, and then she's stranded in the middle of nowhere. I also, my bookship box that came the month after was missing its bookmark from it, so they sent me a replacement bookmark, finally. But yeah, I definitely would not recommend this book box to anybody. It's garbage, but at least I got a cool arc out of it eventually, right? Next up is the book that came in my unplugged book box this month, and that's Obsidian Tower. I don't remember what this is about, but I think it's got really like mixed reviews. Like, people don't like this book at all from what I've seen of it so far on BookTube. So not super excited to read it, but I have it. Next book is from my Coffee and a Classic book box, and that is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. This is a leather-bound edition. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous edition of this book. This is probably one of the prettiest books that I own, period. So I was super, super excited to get this, even if I have like absolutely no desire to ever read The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It still looks real good on my bookshelves. The next two are from a UK-based subscription box called Bookishly, where they send you a book, a beverage like coffee or tea, and a bookmark. And there's a bunch of different ways you can like combine those into different things, and I have two different subscriptions. The first subscription is a classic book with a custom-made cover on it, then a bookmark that matches that book, and tea that matches that book. And for that I got Robinson Crusoe. It's a custom made jacket on it. The actual thing underneath here is the ugliest. Like, this edition, or these editions of these books, are the ugliest editions I've ever seen. Like, it's kind of amazing, but this just doesn't really impress me at all. I did cancel this subscription, but I am getting one more month. Mostly I canceled it because it takes about 2 months to receive these from the UK because of the difficulties flying through flying during the coronavirus. It's got its matching bookmark, which is just a regular paper bookmark, and it says Quitter Strip. I'm sure that has something to do with the book. And then it came with tea called Robinson Crusoe. So, puns for days. You could see that it also has these black and white stripes on it. This is lemon tea with lemongrass, stevia leaves, ginger, and lemon pieces. It doesn't have much flavor to it. It just kind of tastes like dirt water. So, not my favorite tea. I don't give a shit about Robinson Crusoe as a book, and the bookmark is fine. The other subscription that I have with the same company is a vintage book, which just means an old book and the bookmark and then coffee. Apparently they are having issues sourcing vintage books right now, so I got another one of the classic books with the handmade dust jacket on it, and for that I got Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I've read Wuthering Heights. I like it. Again, these are the ugliest editions I have ever come across. I'm just amazed at how ugly these editions can be. This one is, again, mediocre. I don't see anything special about this particular cover. The bookmark for this does not match. The bookmark never matches. It's just kind of like leftovers, I guess. This is a Thomas Hardy book. It says, "I am not going to thank outside of now, who knows what tomorrow has in store. I don't know which Thomas Hardy book this is from, but it's a really pretty bookmark. Like, this is a gorgeous bookmark. And then the coffee that I have also is not branded at all to Wuthering Heights. It's Mexican Teruno I can't speak Spanish, I'm sorry. It's like a caramel, orange, and peach coffee. I don't taste any of those notes. It just tastes like coffee to me. So, plain, boring coffee. It's not bad. I love coffee, but there's not anything special about this coffee. It is from Percolate, which is a UK coffee store. Moving right along is a bookish item and not actually books. I ordered some book sleeves from Etsy just because I like book sleeves and I wanted to support some small businesses. I will link the Etsy store. There's 2 different Etsy stores. I will link them down in the comments if you like these book sleeves and you want to buy them too. The first one is like these adorable watercolor bees. Like, this is freaking adorable. The next one, these are a little bit floppier, but they're still really cute. The first one is like a Halloween one, and I was just trying to get free shipping, so I added this, but it's just disgustingly adorable with the fat little black cats that I needed it, even if it's completely the wrong season. And then the other 2, I've got Disney princesses. And just Disney movie covers from classic Disney movies. And I love me some Disney princesses. So those 4 book sleeves, again, I will link the Etsy shops. Next up, I'm gonna go through the books that are new to me that I bought to add to my physical TBR, because for some reason I needed to add books to my physical TBR. The first 2, and they're mass market paperbacks, don't get mad at me, I actually like mass market paperbacks, but I got Holy Sister, or Grey Sister and Holy Sister by Mark Lawrence. I did read Red Sister, and I already own that in a mass market paperback, so I wanted to finish out the series because I know I want to finish the series. I just don't know when I'm going to get a chance to finish this series. Next up was my book club book for this month, which is The Identicals by Erin Hildebrand. I've already read this, tabbed it up. This is absolute trash garbage and a waste of my money. This is my second 1-star book of the year. The author is a really shitty entitled white person, and I hated this book. But I will get a lot more into everything wrong with this book in my wrap-up, which should be the next video up after this. Next up is a cute, tiny little collection of short stories called An Elderly Lady is Up to No Good by Helen Tursten. This is written in Swedish and translated into English, and it is about an 88-year-old woman who is a serial killer, and that sounded just completely fucking delightful. So I bought it, and then I got an adorable little tiny miniature hardback, and it made me even happier about my life choices with buying this for no reason whatsoever. And then the final 2 books I purchased, These Witches Don't Burn and the sequel, This Coven Won't Break. I have read this already. It was an adorable little sapphic romance about witches. Like, that's what it is. It's a sapphic romance about teenage witches, and then this is the sequel, and I think this covers other witches in the same universe, like a different coven than this one covers. So, but I like this enough that I went and bought this one, and of course this is like a floppy paperback and this is a hardback, and any completionist is going to be just so angry that I have like 2 different covers of this, but like I I read mass market paperbacks. Like, I obviously have no class or taste when it comes to editions of books. I just want to look at them on my shelf. But yes, I have these two. Super excited to read this one. Next up, I'm going to unbox my Sipsby box for this month. This is a tea collection where you get to try 4 different kinds of teas every month based off of your own preferences. How I do this every month is I'm going to go over what teas I got last month and let you know about them before I open this box and look at the new teas. Last month's was June, so this is July's box. It comes early. My first tea was an organic lemongrass apple hibiscus tea, which is a caffeine-free herbal tea. It tasted like dirt water. It really had no taste. It smells really good, but it has no taste. I didn't particularly like it. Then we had an organic tropical green tea. It tasted like every other green tea I've ever tried in my entire life. Again, very, very basic. Then we had an Earl Grey tea by Ahmed Tea, which is, it's Earl Grey tea. Like, you can't get any more basic than Earl Grey tea. But I like Earl Grey tea, so it's fine. It's just not new to anybody. Then the final one was a triple berry sweet by Fava Tea. This one, it was good. It's a high caffeine black tea with like a citrusy, or not citrusy, like a berry flavor. It smells delicious. It tastes delicious. I love it. All of these teas and the Sipsby code for them to like save some money on them if you want to buy them will be in the description box below, as well as these teas, but these ones I can't give you any opinion on because I haven't tried them yet. I'm just opening the box right now. Now, if you're not new here, you know that I have a problem where they just send me mint teas every single month. Since January, June, last month has been the only month where they haven't sent me mint tea. So I like emailed them and I was like, stop fucking sending me mint tea. So we're gonna see if we still have mint tea. This is the July tea spoiler card, which I'm not going to look at. The first tea that we have in here is a Stash brand tea called Breakfast in Paris, which is a black tea. I don't know anything. I had English breakfast tea. I've had Irish breakfast tea, but I've never had like Parisian breakfast tea. So this one's new. I'm down. I love black teas. The Breakfast in Paris tea has black tea, lavender, bergamot, and vanilla. And I love lavender and bergamot in my teas, so I'm thrilled. Like, that is exactly what I want in a tea. Lavender tea is my favorite kind of tea. The next tea up is Happy Tea. There we go. Happy Tea. And this packaging is so simple. It has nothing on it but Happy Tea. And there's nothing at all on the back. So, there you go. We'll have to read the spoiler card for that one because it literally gives me no information. Happy Tea is black tea, rose, goja, chrysanthemum, hawthorn fruit, and lemon. That sounds delicious. I like rose in my teas, but I don't like rose anywhere else other than tea. Yeah, it's a Australian-based tea. I'm excited. Sounds delicious. We're good so far. The next tea in here is a blood orange tea. And this is an herbal blood orange tea. Let's see. Caffeine-free, made in Germany and Austria. It's got apple, orange peel, rose hips, hibiscus, beetroot, safflower petals, marigold petals, orange flavor, raspberry flavor, and grapefruit flavor. I'm hoping that it actually tastes good because it's got flavor in it instead of like artificial flavors, it sounds like, instead of just leaves, because the leaves usually just taste like dirt tea. So excited to try this. I don't have high hopes for it though. And then the final tea in here is called Calm from Healthy Teas. And it looks like another herbal tea. This is, yes, caffeine free. It's just got lavender, chamomile, and chrysanthemums in it. And as I said, I love lavender. So hopefully this tastes really good, or it's just gonna taste like dirt because it's an herbal tea. You got a 50-50 chance here. Lavender I love, but it's an herbal tea. The next stack of books that I have is a very interesting thing. So after the Black Lives Matter movement that happened at the beginning of the month, was like blowing up really big on Twitter, I discovered a Black-owned bookstore that, like, it was the first time she made a Twitter post saying like this is the first time that she's ever admitted to being a Black-owned business because she was afraid that people would not shop at her business because of her ethnicity. So I decided to order some stuff from her. I placed an order for a handful of books that I knew I kind of wanted to read, and then wrote in the notes that I wanted her to choose some books for me from the 1960s, because that's where my century read was, by Black authors, like if she had anything in the store. Some of the ones that I chose myself were on back order, so I don't have them here. I still have like, I think two, maybe three more books coming in. But the ones that weren't on back order she sent, and then I have a handful of them from the 1960s. Unfortunately, none of them made it to my 1960s TBR, but I'm still gonna read them eventually, but I have them. And I just kind of like set like a price range, like give me a gift card and spend it is basically what that was. The first one is Coming of Age in Mississippi. It's a autobiographical tale of a young Black girl coming of age in Mississippi in the 1960s. Maybe the 1950s. Next one is Margaret Walker's Jubilee, which is a fiction story. This is like Gone with the Wind, but written from the perspective of a person of color instead of a perspective of a spoiled 17-year-old white wealthy girl. So this one sounds super interesting. I think this is the one that I actually picked out myself. It sounds like something I'd pick out myself. I buy things and I don't remember that I've bought things, if y'all didn't know that. Next up is a play. It's a very, 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 very short little play called Funny House of a Negro by Adrian Kennedy. It's a very short little play. If I ever need something very, very short to read, I have it. Next up is the Flagellants? No. Flagellants? I don't know how to say this. By Carleen Hatcher Polite? I'm just butchering everything today. I have no idea what this is about because there's not a summary on the back cover. I know I looked this up at one point, but I don't remember at all, even vaguely, what this is about. So, but I own it. I'll read it eventually. Then next up by Virginia Hamilton, The House of Dice Dreer. This one sounds really cool. It's a young adult, I believe, story, maybe middle grade story about a house that used to be part of the Underground Railroad that's haunted. So it's a horror story about a haunted house, but also about like slavery and like the suffering of slaves trying to escape on the Underground Railroad. So it sounds very, very interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to getting to this one. This one, it sounds like a very hard read. This is called Fire Shut Up in My Bones by Charles Blow, and this is a memoir. It is about a young black man in Louisiana who grew up very, very poor, like the youngest child of 5 children, and he was at a young age sexually assaulted by one of his cousins, I believe, and it's like how that event divided his life into like a before it happened and an after it happened, and how he has kind of like suffered from the trauma of that sexual assault and kind of had to deal with it throughout his life. So, sounds very dark, very down my alley of the type of books that I like to read. So, I can't say I'm excited to read this because reading about sexual assault is not exciting, but I think this is going to be a very powerful, moving memoir. The next book is another one that I picked out myself. This is called Salvage the Bones by Jesmyn Ward, and this is about a very poor black family in Mississippi who can't like evacuate during a very, very extreme hurricane, and like the suffering that they go through with their house flooded and them trying to escape when like they're not financially able to escape this storm. So sounds very interesting. Again, sounds right up my alley of dark books. Very down to read this one as well. I do, like I said, have other books coming. The only one I remember ordering was The Hate U Give, so I don't know what else is coming, but The Hate U Give is one of the books that is coming. We'll see. The final thing I have is my book of the month club book for June. Yeah, June. And I ordered an extra book this month. I actually remember what it is. I never remember what books I get, and I still don't remember what the book that I picked, but I remember the extra book that I ordered. So there's a first time for everything with me remembering things. I do want to point out that, yes, I am aware of the situation that happened with Book of the Month Club earlier this month, where one of their social media people behaved very inappropriately towards a woman of color by deleting her comments, questioning why Book of the Month Club doesn't really feature a lot of authors of color or like queer representation. And Book of the Month Club owner did respond to that, saying that, yes, you are right. Thank you for calling us out on this. We are going to make this better. And they have given actionable items where they say we are going to have a minimum of 30% of authors that are authors of colors, and they're going to bring in more queer like books and stuff like that. And they're like, thank you for pointing this out. We will fix it. Gave actionable items of steps that they were going to do. So because they actually gave actionable items and not just like an empty apology and a we'll do better that's vague, I didn't feel necessary to cancel my subscription to them. They realize they were wrong. They're going to try to improve. If they don't improve, then maybe it would be time to cancel just subscription after that. But the add-on book was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because BookTube doesn't shut up about this book, so I figured I might as well buy it because I'm going to like be shamed for the rest of my life if I don't read this. And the book that I actually picked, which I should have known I picked this one, Riley Sager's new book, Home Before Dark. Dead Before Dark was one of those Sookie Stackhouse books. Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. Riley Sager is a really, really well-known mystery thriller, not mystery, but like thriller author. And this is about a girl whose father wrote a book about a haunted house that the family owned when she was a child, and as a like true story, and she has always been like associated with her father's books and doesn't remember any of the events happening, so she assumes that her father's full of shit and passed off his imagination as a true story. And when her father dies, she inherits the house, and then she goes back to this house to like I don't know. I don't know if she goes back to it to like prove that her father was wrong, or if she goes back to it to like fix it up to sell it, and she just doesn't believe what happened there. And then of course it's a Riley Sager novel, so it's probably actually haunted and scary as shit. So we have that. That is everything. There's still more behind me there too. That's everything. There's a lot of books that, again, I didn't need to buy. Why do I have no impulse control when I don't leave my house? But thank you for sitting with me through this book haul. If I got any new books that I need to stick at the very top of my TBR, let me know, and I'll see you next time.